At a cafe, Junhui checked her phone and became alarmed upon discovering that her video had been leaked. At college, she noticed people staring at her disapprovingly and ignoring her. Han Eun-ji shared the video and inquired if it was Junhui in it. That night, Junhui cried under her quilt while continuously checking her phone. Feeling overwhelmed with stress and depression at the cafe, she attempted to take her own life by stepping onto the road. Just before a car could hit her, Lee Gyu-jin pulled her back, saving her life. Lee Gyu-jin then ordered a coffee and offered Junhui a pair of glasses, which she refused, insisting they weren't hers. Despite her refusal, Lee Gyu-jin left the glasses with her. Meanwhile, Shin Hyun-ho met Yoo Jun-sun and asked him for a favor. She expressed her desire to get intimate with him, clarifying that she wasn't pressuring him, but wanted him to be her partner if she were to be with someone. When he asked if she liked him, she nodded affirmatively, and he smiled in response. He mentioned that he didn't have that, to which Shin Hyun provided a condom, asking if that's what he meant. They shared an awkward smile before kissing. After their intimate moment, he pecked her on the cheek. That night, they slept together, and Shin Hyun, looking in the mirror, noticed an S-shaped line on her head connected to Yoo Jun, feeling elated about their experience. As they walked hand in hand down the street, Shin Hyun glanced at a restaurant and sighed. Noticing this, Yoo Jun asked if she was hungry, and she nodded. However, they couldn't go to the restaurant because her last bus was arriving soon. Yoo Jun told her to wait and ran to a bakery to buy her a cake. While he was gone, Shin Hyun looked at her reflection in a store window, noticing her red line, which suddenly shook violently and vanished. Hearing a commotion nearby, she approached a crowd and discovered Yoo Jun had died. Kneeling beside him, her hands covered in his blood as she cried, reinforcing her belief that she was cursed and that anyone close to her was doomed to die. Sitting alone in the stairs, staring at her blood-covered hands, she wept. Suddenly, she received a video from an unknown number showing Lee Gyung-jin tied up, accompanied by a caption reading, "Happy 17th birthday. You are invited to the Room of Boundaries." She immediately called Han-ji to ask for his help. When Detective Han arrived, he inquired about Sona's S-line. Shin Hyun replied that she was unaware of anything regarding Sona's S-line. She then shared that she received birthday cards annually from an unknown sender. Initially, she assumed they were from her mother, but now realized someone was counting down to her birthday, implying she would be required to act on that day, which she believed was today. She showed him the messages and the video. Han noted that someone had lured his niece to the school, given him the glasses, and referenced the events involving Sienna, asking if she thought it was the same person behind it all. Shin Hyun remained silent. They drove to the school, where she questioned whether anyone would be there so late at night. He informed her that he had run a background check on their homeroom teacher, finding nothing, and revealed that Lee Gyu-jin did not exist. Shin Hyun interrupted, pointing out a classroom with its lights on. They rushed toward it. Han-ji followed Shin Hyun to the classroom, but she suddenly vanished. He searched the hallways, finding them empty. Meanwhile, Shin Hyun located Lee Gyung and asked what had happened and who was responsible. Gyung-jin explained that Shin Hyun herself had told her to come to the school, but she couldn't recall anything afterward. Noticing Shin Hyun's skirt, she asked if something had happened to her. Shin Hyun, insisting there was no time, untied Gyung-jin and urged they escape quickly, mentioning she had come with Detective Han. As Detective Han roamed the hallways, Shin Hyun and Gyung-jin called out to him, but received no response, prompting them to run downstairs. Hearing their voices and footsteps, Detective Han ran upstairs. However, Shin Hyun and Gyung-jin realized they were trapped in a loop on the same staircase and screamed for help. Detective Han opened a no-entry door to the roof, entering an unusual place. Hearing a sound from upstairs, Shin Hyun and Gyung-jin ran toward the roof but found no one. In this other dimension, Detective Han observed Junhui discussing how she had found a new purpose in life and had erased all her S-lines except one by killing those she had been intimate with. Junhui removed the long white cloth covering the man she had last been intimate with. She declared to everyone present that she was ready to erase her final sin, holding a knife and staring at him. Despite his pleas for mercy, she slaughtered him. Detective Han, witnessing this, was horrified as a large web of red lines appeared behind Junhui. On the rooftop, Shin Hyun-hup attempted to explain to Lee Kyung-jin her ability to see unusual phenomena. Wearing the glasses, Kyung-jin asked if this was what she meant, remarking that it was incredible how Shin Hyun could see others' S-lines. Shin Hyun questioned where she got the glasses and urged her to remove them. Before she could finish, Kyung-jin refused, stating she had heard that S-lines would be visible without glasses if Shin Hyun died. She asked if it was true, mentioning that the homeroom teacher had told her this. Shin Hyun realized Lee Gyu-jin, the homeroom teacher, was behind the glasses. Lee Gyu-jin, she approached the dead body, and Detective Han observed her red lines vanish. Everyone, including Lee Gyu-jin, turned to look at him. She removed the blood-soaked white cloth, revealing Detective Han's father instead of the slaughtered body. He rushed to untie him, but Lee Gyu-jin showed him a blood-covered knife, asking if he wanted to save Seona. She handed him the knife, and he recalled the red line connecting Seona and his father. He raised the knife to stab his father, but suddenly turned toward Lee Gyu-jin. However, she overpowered him, throwing him to the ground, and stabbed his father, killing him. Detective Han tried to shoot Lee Gyu-jin, but the bullets had no effect on her. She asked him how the world looked through the glasses, calling it beautiful, and declared that soon the entire world would be bathed in red. He continued shooting until he ran out of bullets. Lee Gyu-jin told Detective Han that ordinary humans couldn't kill her and grabbed him by his neck. He asked if she was the one who pushed Seona off the rooftop, and she countered by asking if he would have even noticed her if Seona weren't in the hospital bed. She claimed she was giving him an opportunity. On the rooftop, Kyung-jin was choking Shin Hyun. Shin Hyun threw Kyung-jin's glasses away, prompting Kyung-jin to release her and rush toward them. But Shin Hyun crushed the glasses underfoot. Regaining her senses, Kyung-jin asked Shin Hyun where they were, pointing out a cut on her face and a change in her eye color. Shin Hyun noticed that the blood from her cut didn't fall, but floated in the air. Suddenly, she found herself in the same otherworldly place as Lee Gyu-jin, where she saw Detective Han about to be killed by her. Shin Hyun shouted for Lee Gyu-jin to stop. Lee Gyu-jin tossed Detective Han aside and approached to Shin Hyun slowly. Now Shin Hyun demanded to know why Lee Gyu-jin was doing this. Gyu-jin asked if she had ever wondered why she could see the red lines since birth, claiming it was all meant for this moment, and that Shin Hyun-hep wasn't cursed, but blessed. Shin Hyun accused her of lying, pointing out the deaths of her friends and family and the pain she had endured, questioning how seeing the S-line could be a blessing. Lee Gyu-jin responded that people want to know, explaining that others crave to see such things. The people present removed their glasses and joined hands around her and Shin Hyun, as if performing a ritual. Lee Gyu raised her knife to stab Shin Hyun, but Shin Hyun's mother intervened, sacrificing herself to save her daughter. She knelt beside her wounded mother, who apologized for arriving too late and revealed she had also worn the glasses. She reassured Shin Hyun that none of it was her fault before dying. Enraged, Shin Hyun charged at Lee Gyu but was stabbed by her. She saw her own blood floating upward in the air. Lee Gyu-jin put down the knife, gazing at the floating blood drops with a smile. She caused Shin Hyun to levitate, and the blood transformed into a large ball of red lines. Shin Hyun recalled that her death would grant humanity the blessed eyes of God. Lee Gyu-jin brought Shin Hyun back to the ground and used the red ball to make red lines visible to everyone without glasses. Shin Hyun cuts Lee Gyu-jin's face and stabbed her, but Lee Gyu-jin told her that it was too late, as she had completed her task and both of their roles were fulfilled. She then collapsed. The surrounding people, regaining their sanity, began running aimlessly, unsure of what to do without Lee Gyu-jin, while Shin Hyun remained motionless. Detective Han-ji rose from the floor, but someone struck him, causing his glasses to fall. He searched for them frantically. Back on the rooftop, Shin Hyun awakens. Kyung-jin rushed to her, asking if she was okay and urging her to leave the school. Detective Han was on the rooftop as well. Spotting his glasses, he reached for them, but they fell off of the edge. Shin Hyun grabbed him, suggesting they visit Seona. In the city, people were astonished by the visible red lines, recording them with their devices. Shin Hyun, Kyung-jin, and Han witnessed the sky turning red as a cluster of red lines appeared above Han's head, frightening Kyung-jin. Everyone in the city developed their own S-lines, with some terrified and others excited. A year later, This phenomenon had become the new normal. On a train, everyone covered their faces except Shin Hyun, who, for the first time, felt like an ordinary human. Siona eventually awoke from her coma, uniquely reborn without an S-line. Her bond with Han strengthened significantly. Shin Hyun, however, found herself alone again. She visited Yoo Jun-sun's grave, where she heard someone call her name. Turning, she saw Lee Gyu-jin standing beside her.